everyone. I'm Dr. Anurekha Goswami, Associate Professor, University School of Law and Research, USTM. Today I'm going to discuss labor law in Indian perspective, the unorganized labors, as well as the new labor codes which has been taken by the Government of India. So before discussing all these points, I would like to discuss who is a labor first. So labor law is also known as the employment law, is the body of laws, administrative rulings and precedents which address the legal rights of and restrictions on the working people and their organization. As such, it regulates many aspects of the relationship between the trade unions, employers and employees. In other words, labor law defines the rights and obligations as workers, union members and employees in the workplace. Generally, labor law covers industrial relation, certification of unions, labor management relations, collective bargaining, and unfair labor practices, workplace health and safety, employment standards, including their holidays, annual leave, working hours, unfair dismissals, minimum wage, layoff procedures, etc. So, this labor laws deals with the benefit of the laborers or the workers who work for different industries, different factories at the home also. So, historical context and evolution of labor laws in India, if we find that labor laws arose due to the demand of workers for better conditions, the right to organize and the simultaneous demands of employers to restrict the powers of workers in many organizations and to keep labor cost low. So, employers' cost can increase due to workers organizing to win higher wages or by laws imposing costly requirements such as health and safety or equal opportunities conditions. So, workers' organizations such as trade union can also transcend purely industrial disputes and gain political power, which some employers may oppose. The state of labor law at any one time is therefore both the product of and the component of struggles between different interests in the society. International Labour Organization ILO was one of the first organization to deal with the labor issues. The ILO was established as an agency of the League of Nations following the Treaty of Versailles, which ended with World War I. The first annual conference, referred to as the International Labour Conference or ILC, began on 29th October 1919 in Washington DC and adopted the first 6 international labour conventions which dealt with hours of work in industry, unemployment, maternity protection, right work of women, minimum age and night work of young persons in industry. The prominent French socialist Albert Thomas became its first Director General and ILO became the member of the United Nations system after the demise of League in 1946. So, India is the founder member of ILO and India has under obligation to fulfill all the provisions for the welfare of the laborers, which has been adopted by ILO. So, India's labor laws have evolved over decades, originating during the British colonial period. So, we can trace the Indian law from the British colonial period. Initially, these laws aim to address the need of an industrializing economy and protect workers' rights. Post-independence, numerous labor laws were introduced, resulting in a complex web of regulations that often overlapped and conflicted. Before independence, the foundation of the labor laws in India was laid during the British era, as just we have discussed, and the acts like Trade Disputes Act 1929, the Payment of Wages Act 1936 came into existence. After that, after independence, the original colonial legislations underwent substantial modifications and it's called for a clear partnership between the labor and the capital. The content of the partnership was unanimously approved in a tripartite conference in December 1947, in which it was agreed that labor would be given a fair wage, fair working condition, and in return the capital would receive the fullest cooperation of labor for uninterrupted production and higher productivity as a part of the strategy. Ultimately, the Industrial Dispute Act brought into force in 1947, repealing the Trade Dispute Act of 1929 and since remained on statute book. There are a few constitutional provisions also with regards to the labor law or for the safety and protection of the workers. The relevance of the dignity of the human labor and the need for protecting and safeguarding the interest of the labor as human beings has been enshrined in Chapter 3, Fundamental Rights of the Constitution of India, Article 16, 19, 23 and 24 deals with the fundamental rights of the laborers as human being. And Chapter 4, Article 39, 41, 42, 43, 43A and 54 of the Constitution, keeping the line with the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. So, labor is a concurrent subject in the Constitution of India, implying that both the union and the state government are competent to legislate on labor matters and administer the same. So, the bulk of the important legislative acts have been enacted by the Parliament of India. So, we got the background of the labor status of laborers and labor law in India, and now we can be categorize the labor law into two categories, organized laborers and the unorganized laborers. So, if I discuss unorganized labor, who is an unorganized labor? The term unorganized labor has been defined under the Code on Social Security 2020, the recent code, which says that unorganized worker means a home-based worker, self-employed worker or a wage worker in the unorganized sector, and includes a worker in the organized sector also who is not covered by the Industrial Dispute Act of 1947 or Chapter 3 to 4 of the code, that is Employees Provident Fund, Employees State Insurance Corporation, gratuity, maternity benefit, employees compensation. So, if they are deprived of such benefits, they would be categorized as unorganized workers under the code. The Indian scenario, present scenario, if we find, as per Economic Survey of 2023 to 24, India's workforce is estimated by nearly 56.5 crore in 2022-2023. 45% of the workforce is employed in agriculture, 11.4% in manufacturing, 28.9% in services and 13% is in construction. So, the Ministry of Labour, Government of India has categorized the unorganized labor force under the four groups in terms of occupation, nature of employment, specially distressed categories and service categories. So, these unorganized workers actually they are small and marginalized farmers, landless agricultural laborers, sharecroppers, fishermen, those engaged in animal husbandry, beeri rolling, labeling and packing, building and construction workers, leather workers, weavers, artisans, salt workers, workers in bricklin and stone quarries, etc. So, all these workers who are working without any employers employees contract, without any benefit, without any social security measures are included in the unorganized laborers. So, they are not covered by any labor law or social security protection and often working in the informal sectors. So, this sector is characterized by a lack of formal employment contracts, job security and benefit. They face numerous challenges and issues which affect these workers, including they get the low wages, lack of social security and poor working conditions. On the other hand, organized workers are represented all the businesses, industries and institutions registered with the government operating under a legal framework. These sectors offers employees job security, fixed wages, regulate salary and other benefits such as provident fund, medical insurance and paid leaves. Some of the characteristics of the unorganized labor are they lack the formal employment. As just now we have discussed, unorganized workers typically lack formal employment contracts, making them vulnerable to exploitation and job insecurity. They get low wages and low income, so often low wages make it difficult for the workers to meet basic needs and leading to indebtedness. They have no social security, so and the absence of social security schemes like health insurance, pension or unemployment benefits, these unorganized workers are the sufferer at the most. They have to face the poor working condition also, long hours of work, lack of access to basic amenities like clean water and sanitation facilities. They are vulnerable to exploitation even. So, due to their precarious situation, unorganized workers are often vulnerable to exploitation by employers and the contractors. So, examples of unorganized worker we have stated, like agricultural workers, like small and marginal farmers, landless laborers, construction workers, that means the building workers, manufacturing workers like leather, weaver, artisans, etc. And the services includes the domestic workers, that household helpers, steel vendors and other transport sectors. Informal sectors are also there, which are known as home-based workers, self-employed individuals and those in the informal economy. These are the unorganized workers, and for them the government of India has taken initiative and social security for them. So as a result, the Unorganized Workers Social Security Act 2008 came into existence, and this act aims to provide social security to unorganized workers, but its implementation faces challenges. Various welfare schemes are adopted by the government. It has launched targeting special groups of unorganized workers such as manufacturing workers, construction workers and others. Then Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is been taken by the government to provide health insurance coverage to eligible families, including some unorganized workers. Apart from this, the government has started a portal, it is known as e-Shram portal, the portal for the registration of unorganized workers across the country, and it was launched in August 2021. This portal will help to build the comprehensive national database of unorganized workers in the country. The portal proved to be a huge boost towards the delivery of justice and welfare schemes to crores of unorganized workers in India. The Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan Yojana, so government scheme is meant for old age protection and social security to unorganized workers. One can we mention here Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana. The workers in the unorganized sectors constituted about 93% of the total workforce in the country. So, government has been implementing some social security measures for certain occupational groups, but the coverage is very small. These unorganized workers faces challenges and issues like lack of awareness. Many unorganized workers are unaware of their rights and the available social security schemes. The implementation gap is always there. There is a gap in the implementation of the social security programs, and many workers are not effectively covered till date. They have a very limited collective bargaining power to negotiate for better wages and working conditions. The migration and displacement is another factor. Due to the economic factor, the workers migrate, and that makes further marginalized unorganized worker. Very recently, the India has codified all the previous existing laws into the 4 new labor codes, which are going to be implemented by the government of India in recent days. State governments are working on it. It is a huge step taken by the government to consolidate 29 existing labor legislations into 4 codes to provide better security, health and other welfare measures to the laborers, both in organized and unorganized sectors. The Second National Commission of Labour, in its report, it placed the recommendations for codifying the legislation into 4 or 5 codes, and hence the new labour codes are framed, and they are named as the Code on Wages, 2019, the Code on Social Security 2020, the Industrial Relations Code 2020, and the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020. So, what is the purpose of consolidation of these laws? It is on the initiative taken by the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, in the year 2014. The Shrameva Jayate scheme, it started with his speech addressing the workers as the nation builders, and he placed Shrameva Jayate in the equal footing with Satyameva Jayate, and he says that it has power to grow the country. Since 2014, the process of labor law reform started with the object to ensure transparency, accountability, increasing rate of gratuity, increased paid maternity leave, payment of wages in bank, and many more benefits. So, the laws are codified to give more benefit to the working class people. So, for ensuring the workers' right to minimum wages, the central government has amalgamated 4 laws in the wage code, 9 laws in the social security codes, and 13 laws in the occupational safety, health and working conditions code 2020, and the 3 laws in the industrial relation code. For this, by getting the bill passed by the parliament, the central government has made headway towards changing the standard of living of the workers in a fundamental manner. So, this will definitely be a positive step and far-reaching effect on the workers' nation building. These labor reforms will enhance ease of doing business in the country. The employment creation and output of the workers will also get enhanced, and the benefit of these 4 labor codes will be available to the workers of both organized and unorganized sectors. Now, the Employees Provident Fund, Employees Pension Scheme, and the coverage of all employees' medical benefit under the employees insurance will be available to all workers, organized as well as unorganized workers. For ensuring workers' rights to minimum wage, the central government has amalgamated 4 laws into wage codes. So, for this benefit of these 4 labor law will be available to all the workers. So, after 73 years of independence, the work is being done to provide wage security, social security and health security to the 15 crore workers covering organized and unorganized sectors. It guarantees to all the facilities to all the workers. Through this code, a comprehensive legal framework for social security has been created so that workers can receive social security completely. Under this, in a stepwise manner, the system would be institutionalized for the contribution received from the employers and workers. So, Social Security Code 2020, though a small contribution, benefit of free treatment is available under hospitals and dispensaries of ESIC. The doors of ESIC will now be opened for workers of all the sectors along with the workers of unorganized sectors. Expansion of ESIC hospitals, dispensaries and branches up to the district level. This facility will be increased from 566 districts to all the 740 districts of the country. Even if a single worker is engaged in a hazardous work, he would be given ESIC benefits under this code. So, opportunities to join the ESIC for the platform and gig workers engaged in new technology. So, plantation workers also will get benefit under ESIC. Institutions working in hazardous area to be compulsorily registered with ESIC, and expansion of social security, the benefit of pension scheme to all the workers of organized and unorganized sectors as well as self-employed sectors. The creation of the Social Security Fund under this code, it provides for the comprehensive social security to the unorganized sectors. The requirement of minimum service has been removed for payment of gratuity in case of fixed term employees. Employees engaged on fixed term to get some social security benefit as permanent employees. So, creating national database of workers of unorganized sectors through registration on portal, the employer employing more than 20 workers to mandatory report the vacancies online. So, the workers are given universal account number for ESIC, PFO and unorganized sectors worker. For providing the better and safe environment along with the occupational health and safety to the workers at the workplace, 13 existing labor laws have been subsumed in the Occupational Safety and Health and Working Conditions Code 2020. In this code, the security of the interest of the workers engaged in factories, mines, plantations, motor transport sectors, manufacturing units has been ensured. The Occupational Safety and Health Working Conditions Code, the various provisions are there. It would help the migrants worker also, interstate market workers, anomalies of interstate market migrant workers act 1979 has been comprehensively removed and it is addressed by this code. Earlier, only workers appointed by the contractor were recognized as interstate migrant workers, and now under the new provision of the code, workers can be Atmanirbhar as they can now register themselves in interstate migrant workers on the national portal. By this provision, the worker would get a legal identity which would enable them to get benefit of all social security schemes. So, different provisions were made under this code by this amalgamation, and the benefits of this amalgamation and codification is that single registration, single license, single statement, minimum forms, common definitions, reduction of committees, web-based inspections, etc. So, certain issues and challenges also faced by this, and the benefits of the new labor codes are universal applicability of the code, floor wage, protection against wage deduction, bonus and equal remuneration, and increased threshold for standing orders. So, with this, I must say that these issues, labor codes face certain challenges also because implementation and awareness challenges are there, compliances mechanisms are there. So, gig workers and platform workers, they introduce for the first time. So, it is lack a certain clarity on the benefits and entitlements of these workers. So, with this, with hoping that new codes will help the workers in India in a good way, I would like to conclude the session. Thank you.